Yo, what's going on, guys? Master Kev here again with another video, and today, yes, we are going to be making a tier list video. It's been a while since I made a tier list video. Now, this one's gonna be a tier list video that I haven't seen people talk about in a while, so I decided to do it myself. Again, I haven't done a tier list in a minute. These next couple of videos that I'm gonna be making are actually almost all of them going to be tier list videos. So I'm about to be dropping facts. Not really. So kind of. Not really facts. Is at the end of the day, is your opinion. Is my opinion. I think to a certain degree, some of these units can be number one, number two, and it's kind of like that way. Like you can't really argue them outside of that. But for the most part, these units are interchangeable, especially with the new hardest content that just came out on JP. But we are not focused on JP. We are focused on global, and this is a global only tier list. So every unit that I am judging here is global based. So it's how I've used them, how they've done with me, and how they've overall performed with me on my teams in global. Now, without further ado, let's get into the first honorable mention. I just wanted to throw him there as an honorable mention. It is Goku Black, and man, I think this guy really got shafted. I think he could have been better. I think Goku Black should have been better. I don't know why they did him kind of dirty. I feel like all he really would have needed was guard. Like, that's as crazy as it sounds. Like, just leave his kit the same, but just add guard. Like, I don't know why they just added greatly raising attack and or greatly raising defense. I don't think it's too overpowered to just greatly raise defense. But I guess Dokkan was like, it would be too overpowered if they just gave him greatly raised defense. But that's just my personal opinion. Again, I don't think it's too overpowered if you have a unit greatly raising defense. But again, he is pretty decent. He's honorable mention. I put him number 11. I think he is still usable in a lot of stages, but there are definitely stages where he can get caught, even with items. When I'm judging these units, I am judging these units when you are using items with them, not gonna lie. So even with items, like let's say you use a Ghost Usher, or not Ghost Usher, like I use Icaruses and Whis the most. So let's say you use an Icarus or a Whis, then this guy, even with them, when he's starting off, he starts off really weak. After he starts getting a couple supers in, he starts getting defense. But anyway, he's just an honorable mention. Let's start with the real one. Number 10 is Trunks. And now, Trunks is basically the same as Goku Black. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. Trunks is basically the same as Goku Black. But there is one small difference. I find myself, I find Trunks stacking up way quicker than Goku Black. And that's just me though. I find that Trunks gets to a higher defensive stat than Goku Black quicker. Even though he doesn't, this guy doesn't even stack on his base form, but on the Super Saiyan form, at least he does start greatly raising attack and defense. And for whatever reason, if you want to transform, you still have basically the Sword of Hope trumps, where you could nuke. Theoretically, you could nuke with that, and depending how many greatly stacks attack you've done with Trunks, again, you could nuke with it. I've never really done it myself. I've never really found myself nuking with this Trunks. I try to use him mostly as like a 6 slot. He does support by giving ki, but it's hit or miss. He's not like let me say this right now. Most of the units here in this tier list, I don't think they're that good, except for number 1 and number 2, and maybe number 3. Other than that, I think most of these easy A's are good, but that's about it. Like good with maybe a capital G, and then good with maybe a capital G, and that's it. But that's gonna be Trunks, and I'm not gonna even move Goku Black. I'm just moving Trunks. I think he's number 10. Again, most of these guys in the lower sides, I don't think they're that good. But now next we go to Piccolo. Now Piccolo, I think he's kind of the same as Trunks. The only, actually, as a matter of fact, I think Piccolo is worse than Trunks. The only thing saving Piccolo is the fact that he has two things that I do like. Is that he recovers HP and he foresees enemy super attacks. So Piccolo recovering HP is huge, even if it's just 7%. That is still a really good ability, at least for me, especially when you only bring like damage reduction items and you need to heal every so often. The fact that Piccolo recovers HP is really good. And again, the fact that he sees super attacks makes it to where you don't have to put him on the super. Because if he takes the super, he will die. But the fact that he has that ability, I do give it to him. And that's why I think he's good on this spot. I don't think he's better than that. Like, yes, he can see super attacks, but sometimes you can just see if you die, basically. But once he transforms into fuse with Kami Piccolo, he's a little bit better, especially when he gets that 40% crit and that 40% damage reduction. He gets good. He's good. He's good. He's good. He's just not great. Only 40% damage reduction, especially if you don't stack a lot with him. Most of the time, I find myself having him like with 300k defense and 40% damage reduction, which is good. To a certain degree. Like, he can tank normals, but a super will kill him. And yes, he still foresees enemy super attack. Like, you can still dodge him. But when you have an enemy that locks, that makes it a little bit different. Right now, we don't have that on global. So that's why he's still a little bit better on global. Again, because this is a global tier list, not a JP tier list. That's number 9. Now, number 8. Honestly, I was debating between number 8 and number 9. If I could swap them. You could even swap them. I really don't care. This is my personal opinion at the end of the day. I think from number 10 maybe to like number 4, it's kind of interchangeable. Again, the top 3, I don't think they're interchangeable between themselves, but I think they're in their own tier. Like 3, 2, and 1 are in their own tier. I don't think they're really like that. I don't think they're comparable to any of the ones below that. But we got Super Saiyan Gogeta now. Regular Super Saiyan Gogeta isn't that good. Because he isn't. He gets hit, he's dead. And then he only has a high chance of dodging. Which is not bad. But again, if he gets hit, he's dead. But we will be talking about this later on. I will be talking about this later on. Because I want to talk. There's going to be another unit that I put way higher up than this Gogeta that has a high chance to dodge. But in my personal opinion, he's way better than Gogeta. Now, when he turns into blue, he basically gets a great chance to dodge. And he does stack attack and defense. Greatly stack attack and defense for 4 turns. So his defense is a little bit more bearable, especially with these bosses here on global. So he does have a chance to dodge every single attack, and as long as it's not a super attack, I feel like Gogeta would be fine tanking almost every other attack in the game. Again, in global. But super attacks will 100% kill this guy, but having that 70% chance to dodge, I do value that just a little bit more than Piccolo's ability to be able to see super attacks. Again, I'm not going to argue with you guys. If somebody in the comment section tells me, oh, I think Piccolo goes over Gogeta. Dope. Cool. That's you. I think Gogeta also has more teams than Piccolo, so that makes it a little bit easier to run Gogeta over Piccolo. So I'm just going to go through these guys really quick because, again, I think we're at a point where most of these guys that I am talking about right now have had their time to shine, if that makes sense. And most of the guys that I am talking about already are good to a certain degree on global. But like the reason I'm being a little bit iffy on them, and I'll explain it later up in the end, even though this is a global tier list, I am trying to in my personal head, I'm trying to judge them to see how good they would be in the future with the current JP meta as well. I'm not really bringing them into account. I'm not taking that into account. I'm just saying that maybe I could rank them a little bit higher maybe later in the future when I do a future tier list. When more of JP units come out as well. This is a Dokkanfest tier list for global only. So all of these units can clear the global hardest events right now. If you say no, watch my videos. Don't you dare. Don't you dare say, not on my video, not on my comment section, don't you dare say that none of these units can be used against the hardest fights in the game in global. I will literally do a world tour and clear every single red zone or every single hard event, red zone, cell max, whatever the fuck. I will clear it. The Ocean Shenron, not Ocean Shenron, the Birth of the Shadow Dragons event, whatever event it is between those ones, I will make sure that I clear it with and only with those EZA leader skills, just to prove you guys wrong. So I better not see anyone in the comment section saying, oh, you can't clear it with Trunks. You best believe I'm doing the Trunks World Tour. You best believe. But we'll leave that for later. Because again, I say, because I've done it, you can clear the hardest events in the game with each and every one of these EZAs. If you don't, I'm sorry, buddy. It's just a skill issue. It really is just a you thing. I'm not trying to attack you or anything, but if you can't do it with these units, it's just a skill issue. It really just is a skill issue. Now, number 7. I have this Kaioken Goku. I will say, Kaioken Goku is probably the only one here that is only here because of the fact that he can nuke almost any to every boss in the game. I don't think there are many. There are a couple, I think, but I don't think there are many bosses that can survive his Spirit Bomb. I do think that right now in Global, he still isn't that strong because he doesn't have that help that he needs to be that strong. I think that on JP he is. I don't think I would put him any higher even on JP, but I think 6 is a good position for him. I've seen him do good. I've used him here and there. I'm not the biggest fan of just running basically full UI Gokus to like make sure I have his Spirit Bomb. Or I'll run a different Universal Survival Saga and I'll just have him there just because like he greatly stacks attack and like his attack stack gets crazy. But he's still good. He guards for 5 turns. For the first 5 turns, he is tanking pretty much good at he's pretty much a good normal attack tanker. Once his guard wears off, he still has like 400k defense. It's not like he's garbage because he's not. He's still good even after his guard is over. It's just like on global specifically, he's good, and he still can't tank super. So up until we can tank a super, I think he's gonna stay down here. But I do think the ability that he has, where he can kill almost any boss with his Spirit Bomb, really makes it. It's basically playing the game on easy mode for you. But I will give him points for that. Again, seeing this tier list, this is just my personal opinion. I will reiterate that. If you think maybe Kaioken Goku should be 10 or maybe Kaioken Goku should be like 3 or 4 or whatever, that's you. I don't know why these numbers are different. I'm going to fix that right now. There you go. I don't know why those numbers were different. But anyways, if you think they should be interchangeable, again, that's your opinion. I'm not going to argue with you. The only thing I will argue with you is if you tell me you can't use any of these guys to clear hard content, I will shit on you and I will tell you that you can. It's just a skill issue. But 1, 2, and 3, again, once we get to them, I think 1, 2, and 3 are clear 1, 2, and 3. I don't think you can argue them outside of 1, 2, and 3. I believe the next one is probably going to be, this one's probably going to make a couple people mad. Yep. Beerus. Now, Beerus, I have him 6 only for one reason. And that is the fact that he randomly changes key sphere of a certain type to rainbow key spheres when there's the Realm of Gods enemy. Now, for the Future Saga Red Zone, for the majority of it, not all of it, but for the majority of it, that's great, actually. For the hardest fight in the game on Global, that being Fusion Zamasu, that is great. And you will most likely always get the 7 key spheres that he needs, because he needs those 7 key spheres. It's not that he wants them. No, he needs those 7 key spheres. You need to have those 7 key spheres for this Beerus to be godly, basically. And I'm not denying that. Once he gets those 7 key spheres, Beerus is him. Beerus is him. Now, when you don't have those 7 key spheres, that my friend is when it starts to look really bad. When he doesn't have that ability active, when there is no Realm of Gods category enemy, so basically in any of the red zones and any of the other red zones, if they're not a Realm of Gods enemy, or in the Burst of the Shadow Dragon fights, he's probably most of the time only really getting 3 key spheres or 4 key spheres, maybe around that area. And yes, he has 40% damage reduction, but for some of those, that might not be it. And that first hit that Beerus takes sometimes tends to be the super. Sometimes, because you want to put him on slot 1 on some occasions, not on all occasions. Like against Fusion Zamasu, you can put him on slot 3, and that will still help him out because it's an AoE. But other times you want to have him on slot 1 because of you want to take full advantage of the 70% damage reduction that he gets. And if it's not an AoE attacker, then you need to put him in slot 1. Because if you give him those 7 key spheres, then you just gave him 7 key spheres for nothing, because he's not going to activate his full damage reduction. But again, that's just a minor inconvenience. I'm not saying that he's terrible. I'm just saying that for the hardest fight in the game, I think he's good. I think he's good for most of the Future Saga red zones. For the Omega Shenron fight, though, which I am taking into account, I don't think he's that great because of that. Because sometimes he will be struggling with Rainbow Key Spheres, or not Rainbow Key Spheres, Key Spheres in general. And there is a chance that the SDR version of Omega Shenron can cook this guy. So that is the main reason why I wasn't taking him and putting him higher than that. Other than that, I don't have a problem with him. I think he's solid. I think that little problem that he has, where it only has to be Realm of God's enemy, even though it is the hardest fight in the game, and he can clear the hardest fight in the game, he still can't clear the second hardest fight in the game, that being Omega Shenron, in my personal opinion, scot-free. So because of that, I will be downplaying him just a little bit. Again, this is just my personal opinion. I don't care. If you guys have your opinion, that's fine. Again, I think there's top 3 are 3. The top 3, I think they are the 3 best units in the game for global right now. Alright, number 4. Yep, Android 18. Or Android 17, I mean. Or number 5 is Android 17. Now, I mostly have Android 17 here because he has been clutch a couple of times. The fact that he has that set 57% damage reduction when it matters. I feel like when it matters, he has it. And you can argue with me. Again, you can argue with me. You can tell me, yeah, I think Beerus is a little easier to get than 17. Because 17s, you have to start the turn with less than 77% HP for him to have that active. You can't just drop below 77% HP and immediately start taking less damage. So that is a little bit of a kick to 17, but I do appreciate the support that 17 gives out, and that is the main reason why I think 17 is a little bit better than Whis, is because of his support when he's giving out that massive 60% defense and 3 key to all allies. I think that is a huge support. I think 17 as a support unit and as a floating unit is better than Beerus. In tanking wise, you really could tell me that Beerus is better. You really could tell me, yeah, whenever Beerus has 7 key spheres, he's better. I'll be like, all right, cool. Another thing is that 17 has this 57% damage reduction. Whenever he gets it active, he has it for the rest of the turn. He doesn't have it before supering. He will have it for the rest of the turn. And whenever he doesn't have it, he'll just have his 17% damage reduction. It's not the best. It really isn't the best. 17% damage reduction is something, but it's not crazy. And then Android 17's links, they give out a bunch of defense as well. I don't want to go through them right now because my Wi-Fi right now is pretty bad. I don't know why it's like super laggy right now. So I can't really like showcase the links without even like pressing on them. I guess I can press on them a little bit like this, but you can see that most of his links do have like defense. like that being Android Assault, Twin Terror, Shocking Speed, Tournament of Power, I believe Solid Support too. It's like he gets defense when you have him linked up with other Android units, which he most of the time I use him on other Android teams, and some of the Android teams are very viable still to this day. Like for example, Android 21's team I think is still very viable. She just came out not too long ago, and I have fun with her team. So I be running him as a floater, and I be clearing content with Android 17 on the team. But again, not much to talk about. I think everyone that's watching this video mostly knows how to clear the hardest events in the game. We've been with these events for a couple months now, so it's not much that I need to explain why this person is so good. Everyone knows why these guys are good. I'm just doing my own tier list basically. Now, number 4. I think let me get these two out of here. Number 4, I think, is gonna either go up or stay the same place once JP comes. Right now, the difficulty in JP is where most super attacks and normals are reaching super high levels of like damage, basically. Like normals are above a million damage, and then the super attacks are above 1,000,000 damage. So right now, JP is in the meta where normals are almost as high, if not as high, as super attacks. So this guy's value went up on JP, and I can't wait to see it. I haven't seen anyone use him yet, but I can't wait to see this guy's value on JP. On global, his value is still the same. I think he's one of the best normal attack guys, like normal attack damage takers in the game, and I think this guy is very useful. Almost any team that you need a 6-person, he's not taking supers, but normals he is taking. 80% minus 80% damage received from normals is insane. I need you guys to understand. It's basically damage reduction minus 80%. It really isn't, but it basically is. For normals only, it's basically damage reduction minus 80%. Plus, he already has 300k defense when he starts, and he gets higher defense the more he gets hit, because he'll get defense 30% up to 90% and all that extra stuff. I don't want to read the rest of the passive right now, but basically, this guy is him when it comes to normal attacks. Again, if you want a floater where you know that the normals is all you're worried about, this Vegito, this physical Vegito, man, he's such a sleeper. He is actually such a sleeper. I think this guy is very underrated, and I think even in JP, not a lot of people are using him. I think he's going to come out. Somebody's going to start using him, and they're going to see how good he is, because he is very good when it comes to taking normal. Again, when it comes to taking super, he's dead. When it comes to taking normals, he's a god. Now, top 3, I'm just going to put the top 3 here. Now, I really don't want to hear it. If somebody's going to argue with me, I need y'all to look at my last video. My last video only has 15 views, which is crazy to me, because my last video, I beat Infinite Zamasu. I beat Fusion Zamasu with a 150% leader skill. And that was because of her, baby. Oh my god. I think these top 3 are on a league of their own. I'll talk about Kefla in a second. But let's talk about future Gohan. I think he's number 3, mostly because I actually think Gohan is better pre-transform than after he transformed. And the reason I say that is because he has guard before he transforms. It's not guaranteed guard. It's just a high chance to guard whenever he has a Trunks as an ally. But the fact that he has that option, plus if he ever's under 70% HP, he gets the 58% damage reduction. If he activates those at the same time, he tanks. Guard plus 58% damage reduction, that's really good. Now, once he transforms, he's still good. He doesn't have the chance to guard anymore. He only has his damage reduction, which is still good. 58% damage reduction is no slouch. I don't want people thinking that 58% damage reduction is bad. It's not. It's literally one more percent damage reduction than physical Android 17 has. Physical Android 17 has 57% damage reduction, where this Gohan has 58% damage reduction. Literally 1% damage reduction more. So you can already see why. I mean, this guy is good, but I have seen him get caught. And that's where I am not putting him above Zamasu or above Kefla. I have seen this guy get caught. Whereas Zamasu, I originally had him number 1, but I swapped him to number 2 because I think you need to have Zamasu next to the tech Zamasu. This AGL Zamasu, you basically need to have him right next to the tech Zamasu. Because this Zamasu can get caught. This AGL Zamasu can also get caught. But if you have him right next to the tech Zamasu, I feel like it's harder for him to get caught than whenever you have him with someone else, or you have him in slot 1 by himself, not with the tech Zamasu. I think that's the perfect pairing. Maybe you can have this guy with the Int EZA Zamasu, the regular Zamasu. He's not fused, it's just the regular Zamasu. Maybe you can have them in the same slot, in the same rotation as well, and it could work. But I have found this guy to sometimes, doesn't happen that often to me. Again, this is mostly on my runs that I have done and what I have experienced. I'm not taking other people's videos for account. Like, I'm doing what happens with me, my opinion, because it's what I have done. This guy doesn't die, but he can die sometimes. I have seen it. I've used him, and I have seen him take a super from Infinite Zamasu, or from the physical Zamasu, and actually destroy this guy because he hasn't stacked enough times, or because I put him in slot 1. He can die. I'm not going to say he can't, because he can. It's just harder for him to die, especially if you have him with Tech Zamasu, Tech LR Dokkanfest Zamasu right next to him. Now, I've been waiting to talk about her. For a valid reason. I think Kefla is actually a fusion dance of AGL EZA Gogeta, Super Saiyan Gogeta, and then EZA Super Saiyan God Kaioken Goku. I think Kefla is a combination of those two. I don't know how to say this. I don't know how to say this for you guys to understand. I've done videos of this. I've done runs myself. I've been having so much fun using this Kefla that I've been doing solo runs on my own time. I literally cleared the 150% clear that I was talking about earlier, where I cleared the Infinite Zamasu or Fusion Zamasu Future Saga. Yeah, I did it with her. And she basically one-turned. And on her own team, she actually one-turns. Not basically, she actually one-turns the physical version of Zamasu. The hardest boss in the game, where a lot of people say is the hardest boss in the game, she one-turns. Omega Shenron, she one-turns. You name it, she will one-turn it. Once Kefla is Super Saiyan 2 Kefla, once this bad bitch is out, it's over. It's over. It's over. Nothing is surviving her. She can do 420 plus million attack stats. Best case scenario. Worst case scenario, she does 220 plus millions attack stat. It doesn't even matter. It really doesn't even matter. Best case or worst case scenario, she's still doing that much damage as an easy ATUR. Now, I think they made her this strong because they needed to give us something to kind of be hyped for, while everyone else in JP right now is hyped for LRB's Gohan, for LR Gogeta, for LR Broly. So everyone right now is being hyped for that on JP. And they dropped these monster Universe 6 EZAs over on Global, where once once they come out for JP, once we get this hard content, people are going to sleep on these units. And I'm telling you, these units are still going to be good on the newest hard content. And that's why I have Kefla, Zamasu, and Gohan on the top 3. I think what they bring is going to be good. I also think Vegito is going to be good. I think Android 17 to a certain degree is going to be good. I do think some of the Easy A's that we have right now are going to be good. But man, like, this girl is what what people thought Kaioken Goku was. Which Kaioken Goku is good, but people were talking about his Spirit Bomb. His Spirit Bomb is what does the most damage. She doesn't need a Spirit Bomb. She is the fucking Spirit Bomb. Kefla herself is the Spirit Bomb. Even when she's in base form, she starts off with 10 million attack stats. Even on base form, you don't even need to just talk about Super Saiyan 2 Kefla. Let's talk about base form Kefla. Base form Kefla, best case scenario. Again, I understand this is best case scenario, and I know not everyone is going to have best case scenario. But the good thing about running Kefla in her own teams, that being Universe 6 teams, is that mostly everyone else that you run her with, they don't need key spheres. This is a team where everyone else already has a good amount of key spheres, so you can literally give everyone else like 1 or 2 key spheres and make sure that the most key spheres that you need, let's say you have a row of fucking 5 or 6 key spheres, you just give it to her. You don't need to give it to Vados. You don't need to give it to Kale. You don't need to give it to Caulifla. You don't need to give it to anyone else. You just need to give it to Kefla. And that's why I think she's so strong. Because sometimes, yes, it can happen. Same thing with Beerus. That's the same argument I had with Beerus. And it is. It is the same argument. But I feel like she's still strong, even if you don't need to give her 6 key spheres. What you need to give her is what she requires to be good. Not great, good. On base form, what she requires is 3 key spheres. Why? Because that gives her a high chance to dodge. If you want that extra super, you give her 6 key spheres. But you don't need to get that extra super because you don't get any additional defense on super. You're just stacking attack. You're greatly stacking attack. That's all you're doing. So you really don't need 6 key spheres. Now, if you want that big daddy damage, you give her 6 key spheres. But if you don't care about that damage, you get 3 key spheres, which is good because as soon as you give her those 3 key spheres, she's dodging. Yes, she's a dodge or die character. I understand that. But I feel like what she brings is way higher than what Gogeta brings. Even though Gogeta does guarantee crits, AGL Super Saiyan Easy A Gogeta does guarantee crits, his attack stats aren't even half of what Super Saiyan 2 Kefla's attack stats are. And that's just facts, which is crazy to say. Let's go to Super Saiyan 2 Kefla, or just regular Super Saiyan Kefla. On this one, it's actually easier. You give her 2 key spheres instead of 3, and she dodges. 3 key spheres and 2 key spheres are super easy to get. And again, let's say you don't have to put her on slot 1. You can put her on slot 2. Shit, you can even put her on slot 3. You can float her. She doesn't even have to stay on rotation. Next time she comes, she's going to do hella damage. You just want to try and prioritize the key spheres. And if you can't, it's still fine. Again, you don't have to give her 6 key spheres. You guys do not have to give her 6 key spheres for her to be good. She is good without that. Once she attacks, and I was wrong about something. I'm sorry, I was wrong about something that I did say earlier. When she attacks on her base form, she does get defense. It's just for 1 turn, but she does get defense. She gets defense on super as well. And then every one of her attacks is giving her a little bit extra defense. I was wrong about that. I was mostly thinking of her greatly stacking attack. But she does get defense for every super that she gets. So that is a little bit extra defense that she gets once she supers. But again, I think that that high chance to dodge is good enough for her. Especially if you're just going to float her. Especially for like Zamasu. It doesn't mean you live. You can die. You can. So can everyone else. But you get that fighting chance. That's what you get. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. because I'm gonna keep it 100 with you guys. The main reason she is here in number 1, in my personal opinion, is it really is her damage. On global right now, I don't think there is a single character that includes newer units. I am including newer Dokkanfest, newer LRs. I don't think there is a single unit on global right now that matches the amount of damage that she can do. Tell me, I have evidence on my channel. Tell me tell me a unit that does a 22 million attack stat into a 23 million attack stat into a 25 million attack stat into a 24 million attack stat. That is basically a 100 million attack stat. It really isn't. It basically is. So tell me, internet, what unit can do that? Especially EZA. Let's say you tell me somebody like, oh, Vegito after he transforms and after you do like 30 million attack stat. Alright, whatever. But EZAs, is there any EZA reaching that? Kaioken Goku is the closest one reaching that. He's the closest one, and he's still one super attack short. He still can only do 3 super attacks instead of 4. And on top of all that, this is just Super Saiyan 2 Kefla. Once she transforms into Super Saiyan 2, she just gets that high chance to dodge. You don't need to give her Ki Spheres anymore because of Super Saiyan Kefla and regular Kefla. But now, when you reach 6 Ki Spheres, she gets a great chance to dodge. So she's basically, again, she is a combination of EZA, Blue Gogeta, and EZA, SDR, Kaioken Goku. Super Saiyan God, Kaioken Goku. She's them combined. And better. She's just crazy. She is just crazy. She actually, I'm not a big damage person. For the most part, I am a big defensive person. I do appreciate defense over damage. I think that's how you win games. If you focus too much on damage, that's really not going to do much. But she is the exception. This girl right here is the exception. Right now on Global, there is no event that can handle the power that Kefla drops, which is crazy. Think about it. Think about it. Imagine having an event that she actually just one turns. There's no turn. After Kefla shows up on the rotation, there is no turn left for her to do. There's no turn. She finishes the fight. It's over. It's crazy. It's crazy. Because again, if you watch my last video, before you talk shit, watch my last video. 15 people saw my last video. Nobody has saw my last video, and they're going to start talking shit. Even on a 150% leader skill, even when she wasn't in her own leader skill, her own team still drops shit. Still dropping 18 plus million attack stat. It's insane. There's nobody on Global built like Kefla. I think Kefla is the most overpowered EZA on Global right now. And I think a lot of people are glancing at it right now. They're not even like, or not glancing at it, they're just brushing it off as another EZA. This is not another EZA. Kefla is the exception. Kefla is her. But this right here is my tier list. I think once JP comes out, I think Vegito could go up. I could even do this. Honestly. You guys could do this. I won't argue. I won't. I think Gohan is clear number 3 right now. But once the hard content in JP comes out, I don't think that's gonna be the thing anymore. I don't think Gohan is going to be that strong anymore. I think he is that strong right now, but I don't think he's going to be that strong anymore once JP comes out. And you can interchange them. But right now, I think on Global, these 3 are the exception because of the amount of damage and defense that they are putting out. Vegito, again, I have it 4, mostly because he is a defensive character for me. Super 17, he is, or MVP 17, he is mostly a support / defensive character for me. Beerus, another defensive character for me. Kaioken Goku is an offensive character for me. Again, I think Kefla is a combination of these two guys right here. I think that's what they did with Kefla. They said let's do a fusion dance with these two guys and let's just make Kefla. And again, I think there is no boss in the game right now that can survive a turn from Kefla. And that's crazy to me. That's crazy to say. But anyways, that's my tier list. That's it. I won't be rambling on for too long. I think this is my personal opinion. You can have your opinion. That's fine. I'm not going to shit on your opinion. If your opinion is different than mine, if you think Zamasu's number 1 and you think Kefla's number 2, that's fine. That's fine. That's your opinion. I think most of these Easy A's, with the exception again of the top 3, I think they do all around. They do everything better than 4 and below. I think the top 3 are in their own category. But other than that, you can change these guys to however you want. You can put Trunks number 3 if you really want to. I really don't care. It's your opinion at the end of the day. Tell me about it. What do you think? But I better not catch any of y'all saying that you can't clear any hard content with any of these guys, because that is just flat out facts. I mean, flat out facts. I'm sorry. I agree with you. I'm sorry. I meant that is cap. That is not facts. That means that you guys are wrong. And I will prove you guys wrong. If you guys tell me, oh, you can't clear the hardest fight in the game with Vegito, yes, you can. You guys are wrong. But anyways, that's it for the video. I'll catch you guys in the next one.